On number 8, how can we give our merits, virtues, and good works to Mary? This is the consecration.
Exactly. And this is a matter of surrendering, again, our intentions and our actions and all of those virtues and goodnesses we possess into her hands.
Yes.
It doesn't mean we stop trying to do good on our own.
Right.
Okay, what it does mean is that as we are trying to do good, as we are doing good, we cease to be the owners of this action. And how often is it that I like to control my action from beginning to end? I'm going to help you out, but I'm going to help you out under my terms, and there's always a little bit of my own agenda in there too. And so this is a way of really saying, I'm going to do an act of kindness here, but I place the kindness itself in the hands of Mary, and I place any payback that comes from that kindness in her hands as well, so that it's not something I'm selfishly acquiring for myself, whether it's the good estimation of my friend, whether it's the gracious reward or the gracious return that God gives me. I place that in Mary's hands again, saying, you know better than I where to apply this, whether it's in my life or in somebody else's life. You know better than me what to do with my generosity than I do. So really here, it's not a matter of stopping to be generous. It's not a matter of stopping being virtuous, but it's a matter of surrendering control of my growth in virtue to her.
So it really can impact on another part of the world. Maybe a landlord is about to evict a widow and her family, and these merits Our Lady applies to draw him to be merciful. Now, he could always dig in his heels and resist that grace, that actual grace that is pulling him to be good. But it's harder for him to be evil now than to be good. But many people are that evil, and they will do it.
Right.
But those graces are there.
Right, and and it also means that in the kindness I extend, for example, to Father Bernard, that in between the two of us, that concrete gesture is more effective than it would have been otherwise. Right. And so it has this dual element, this more spiritual, abstract element of our communion in the mystical body, where something can happen elsewhere in the world without my realizing it.
Right.
But also in the here and now, in the family room, in my care of my children, in the affection I demonstrate to my parents. Right. There as well, those concrete gestures are made more effective. And the difference I try to make with those around me also becomes more effective when I surrender this.
Beautiful. We're moving ahead, and how can we give our merits and virtues? And number 9, why do we say our good actions, past, present, and future? That's a mystery, huh? How do you do that? How can you do the past? It's already gone.
But the key in the act of consecration is the offering of self. I am not simply my present. I'm my past. I'm my future.
Right.
Admittedly, I don't have my future yet, and the past is now out of my control.
And there's no time for God anyway.
But my past has had an effect. And my past, however sinful I've been, my past has never been purely evil. Okay? My life has always had some goodness in it. And there's not a human being on the planet who can say otherwise. Okay? Whatever wickedness may or may not have been there, there has been goodness as well. My life has had an effect.
Right.
Well, if my life has had an effect, that's what I place in Mary's hands.
Okay.
The effect of my life. That halting goodness I tried to do imperfectly, its effect still lingers.
Right.
And so I place that there so that its effect can be perfected. Those things, those graces I've acquired over the years, I still possess those. Right. And so I surrender those to her. The goodness I seek to do tomorrow as well, so that it can be, but the idea is recognizing the totality. And I offer all of myself, all that I have and all that I will come to acquire, because this way I surrender ownership.
And a good way to understand that perhaps is to think in terms of what I've done in the past is like a seed I planted. And this is what I turn over to Mary, so that the seeds I have planted, she will see that they take root and produce fruit. And if the seeds were bad, that she'll cut off those things so they won't take root and produce bad fruit.
That's a good way to put it. Well, number 10, how can Mary sanctify, augment, establish the merits and virtues we give her to guard for us?
Okay, we've already touched on this in answering the other questions, but simply put, Louis de Montfort's going to say to us, look, I have merits, graces, a desire to offer glory to God, a desire to do good for someone else. But if I look at what I have, I'm weak, I'm easily distracted, I'm inattentive, I'm proud, and I'm selfish. I have something to offer, but it's not as much as it could be. When I give this to Mary, and remember what we said previously, it's not just that I give myself to Mary. Mary gives herself to me. It's not just that I give myself to Jesus. Jesus gives himself to me. Now, when I give myself to Mary, when I give the goodness I have in my hands to Mary, she takes it. Now, just like a mother receives something from the child, if there's something lacking, what's she going to do? She's going to fill it up. You know, if the package is a little out of joint, she's going to straighten it up. Now, you know, this is a silly kind of example, perhaps, but helpful to just understand what we're talking about is a real relationship with a real person who has our real best interest and the best interest of the world in her heart.
Yes.
How can she do it? Now, honestly, no one can give you a schematic in terms of this is exactly how Mary does that.
Yeah, right.
But one has to understand this. Mary places herself at the service of God's kingdom for the greater glory of God. And so when I hand her something in any way imperfect, she is going to look to make it perfect because she wants to completely offer a pure gift to her son.
Yes.
Now, again, it will be the height of pride and the height of pretension to think that what I have to offer is so perfect, I do not need improvements.
Yeah, well, that's it.
You know, so only this one who has found grace before God can truly take what I have to offer
and make it pleasing to him.
exactly.